Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator. And our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we've been doing these free mentoring roundtables for a long time. This is the 482nd session. We started back in 2008, in the fall of 2008, and that was just an experiment. The experiment was successful, so we launched 1 Million by 1 Million, the full virtual accelerator, in 2010. But you might remember in 2008, the fall of 2008, the winter of 2008 saw the unraveling of the financial crisis. So when we started, it was at the time when the world was, falling apart, and now here we are again. The world is falling apart, and it's extremely sobering to see what's going on. This morning, I read an article on the Financial Times that says the UK's actual debt numbers are way more than what the official Worldometer's rate numbers are, which is about 18,000 or something like that. Apparently, their debt numbers are 41,000. That's like a jarring number. That's almost the same number as the United States with a much 5 times the population. So, there's so much going on in the world that makes you feel sad, makes you feel nervous, anxious, all kinds of things. We have tried to maintain normalcy here in these sessions. Our workflow hasn't changed much. Our entire team works from home. We have been doing this virtual program for a long time. So our workflow hasn't changed. So it has been actually relatively easier for us to both maintain normalcy in our workflow and also offer normalcy to our community. So we've, heard from people that they appreciate having access to our programs and so forth to come and discuss their issues. So, we are here for you in normal times, and we are here for you now when times are far from normal. The event is being recorded. Every single recording of every single roundtable is available on the YouTube channel 1M1M Roundtables. Now everybody has time, especially if you're an early stage entrepreneur, you're doing this for the first time. You do have in front of you a very steep learning curve. So you're going to need to somehow learn. If you decide you want to use the resources of 1 Million by 1 Million to learn, these free roundtable recordings on YouTube are great to listen to because you get the perspective of investors, you get the perspective of entrepreneurs pitching their ideas, how those ideas are received, how they are strategized upon, how they are analyzed. It's invaluable training for you to figure out what you want to do and how you want to think about your business. On Twitter, we're at 1M1M and at Stromana. We publish a lot of rich content. Again, great learning material. Hashtag 1M1M is our Twitter handle. If you're live tweeting today, please use that. These are the instructions for calling in. This is a roundtable, not a broadcast, so we do want you to participate as much as possible. I will put this back up later. First, we have lots of scheduled programming. We have an interview with an investor, then we have 4 entrepreneur pitches, so we have a ways to go before we open up for audience Q&A. We will be starting today's session with a conversation with Garrett Goldberg from B Partners. Garrett, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Shamana. Thank you for having me, and thank you all for being here. Unprecedented times we're in, for sure.
Garrett, let's get you acquainted with our community. Tell us a bit about your background as well as about B Partners.
You bet. That's interesting. There's no one well-trodden path into venture capital. I personally started effectively at the bottom, at at an angel fund, at a regional angel fund, when a friend pitched me on her idea, and I said, I'm pretty sure that's how you lose $25,000 as you invest in all your friends' companies. And so I started at the bottom, just making angel investments through a group, and the group taught me how to make the investments, how to diligence. I eventually became the screening committee chair for a regional angel group. And then my wife, who also had gone to Stanford, moved us back here to San Francisco, and I met a guy who was an angel, and effectively Be Partners is a manifestation of his and my angel investing activity.
Yeah.
We realized that at that early stage, at time zero for that first check, it was more than the 25 grand. It was support. It was helping get from 0 to 1, and that's what we do at Be Partners. We really focus on that inception stage investing.
And what, you and your partner, what kind of trajectory did you follow before coming to angel investing, just to get a sense of where your center of gravity is?
Yeah, that's right. This is my third career, I like to say. So I actually started in professional sports after college here in the Bay Area, and then went into real estate development. So that was probably going to happen anyway. My family had been involved, and so definitely a winding path. And it was only through that happenstance of a friend indicating she wanted to take some money that I got into venture. My partner was in private equity in New York, and he had made a couple angel investments himself, and one of them hit, and that's what enabled him to say, okay, I'm going to stop and form this firm and really go for it. And so we both sort of came up parallel lives, but different ways.
Now, what is the positioning of Be Partners? Obviously, there's been a tremendous expansion of the seed capital ecosystem. So many funds, so many micro VCs are operating now. What are the vital statistics and the positioning of Be Partners?
Yes, Shamana, you got it. There really, in the last 10 years, has been this bifurcation of the seed world. So before, you just had seed and Series A, and then a group of angels before. And since maybe 2009, we have seen this atomization of the seed. You have pre-seed, seed, post-seed almost. So potential for an entrepreneur to take several rounds of capital or a couple rounds of capital before getting to that Series A milestone. And so with that bifurcation, pre-seed investing has become a legitimate investable asset class. And so consistent with that productization of the angel world, pre-seed investing is where Be Partners fits. Effectively, we were doing it before it was called pre-seed. I joke that my partner always wanted to call it Genesis stage investing, but perhaps a little too biblical. And so we're very focused on that early stage. Every company has that moment. Not every company reaches Series A or B, but every company has that 0 to 1 inception moment. And so we effectively productize that. We're a team of 4, where the third and fourth partners work primarily on the portfolio and on marketing for the portfolio, because that's what's needed. We really think that support at the early stage can make a huge difference. Once the company is on its way, it's a big moving ship and has a little bit of a momentum going, but creating that initial momentum, creating that first product. The current fund is $40 million, which is appropriately priced. We're on our third fund right now. The first one was 7, which was Michael's a small angel fund of my partner, and then we raised 30, and then we raised a little over 40. And so 40 to 50 million is the right number.
And what geography do you cover?
North America. We're here in San Francisco, but we're generally agnostic. We do, before, in a previous life, we traveled quite a bit and have nodes all over the country, right? So Atlanta, Toronto. I heard there's a founder from Toronto here online today. So we're certainly agnostic, but it is important for us to be here. This is the center of gravity, at least for now, just in terms of processing opportunities.
And talk about sectors. Where do you like to invest?
You bet. We're strictly enterprise focused. So B2B all the way. We talk about frontier tech. We talk about different verticals within the B2B. And so they can be healthcare. It can be logistics. It can be insurance. We're a little bit more agnostic when it comes to the vertical. Now we have 65 investments. And so we have exposure to many, many different verticals. Internally, we have an investment strategy.
You're okay with deep tech, cybersecurity, and all of that?
Cybersecurity is one that we avoid, but otherwise deep tech, yes, frontier technologies. I was about to say that we have an investment construct we call vector investing that cuts across all these verticals. So edge computing, human-computer interaction. There are these general themes that carry on over time and that we invest in specific verticals that leverage these different themes that we see.
Okay, got it. Let's do a few case studies. Talk about, 2 or 3 companies that you've invested in that you're particularly excited about and also that are particularly representative of what you like to invest in. And in each case, tell us, when did they come to you? What did they have? And what was it about them that drew your attention enough to want to write checks?
Yeah, this is the fun part, right? I get to talk about the founder. A company called Iris Automation. They build a drone sense and avoid technology. We had been invested in a company called Skycatch, which was a drone monitoring for construction site company, and so had been exploring drones. And really, we were trying to explore if drones were a sector in their own. And we came to this conclusion that really drones aren't the sector, drones aren't the industry, it's construction or it's mining or it's oil and gas are the industries. And so Iris Automation came to us and said, we see this future of drones in all these industries. In order to enable that future, we have to build what's called sense and avoid or detect and avoid technology. Effectively an onboard ability for that drone to see where it's flying. We can program a drone to fly from here to Nevada, but it doesn't actually see anything along the way. And so as we enter the FAA airspace with drones, whether it's package delivery, pipeline inspection, oil rig, we have to adhere to what the FAA has long set up. And so the drone has to be able to take evasive maneuver if an airplane enters its field of vision or its flight path, or if a tree falls in front of it, or if a building has been built that wasn't mapped out, for example. And so this detect and avoid technology is effectively horizontal. It goes onto the drone, and these are big fixed wing industrial drones, to then service the customers that are doing the pipeline inspection, that are in other countries doing drone delivery, that are doing blood delivery. And so effectively an onboard insurance program for these drones. So really interesting, deep tech in the enterprise, but then can touch all these verticals.
And the founder had the machine vision background to be able to do this?
Absolutely. Younger founders, so generally speaking in the enterprise, we're not biased, we just back more experienced older founders. I think a lot of them have gone into the industry, figured out what's missing, and then left to go build the solution. In this case, it was young founders, really smart in the computer vision. We wrote them their very first check, pre-YC actually. This company ended up going through Y Combinator for strategic reasons. So we wrote them their very first check, $200,000, and away they go. They've now raised upwards of $40 million.
Now, when you made these decisions to invest in this young founder, how did they find you, or how did you find them?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of what we do here is try to make sure we're approachable by founders. So diamonds in the rough everywhere, including on this call. So this particular one came through another founder that we had a relationship with. He was in a space tech company and said, hey, through a referral. And that's the best. Referral, whether it be another VC, a later stage VC, we see a lot of really good deal flow from later stage VC.
Yeah, this whole industry works in referrals. There's no question. It's one of the reasons we started 1Mby1M is that, it's very difficult if you're an outsider to break into this industry. And so for us, it's been great because we often have these first-time founders. We work primarily actually with first-time founders, not exclusively, but primarily with first-time founders. And if the project is at a certain stage and we consider it fundable, then in half an hour I can provide 25 introductions that are relevant to that company. We work with hundreds of investors, and they will look at what I send them, whereas these people cannot get to those investors by themselves. And that's part of what bothered me very much, is that there are very interesting first-time entrepreneurs out there. In fact, all these big success stories like Zuckerberg and so forth are all first-time entrepreneurs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. It's interesting. We talk a lot about that as we have matured as a firm into our third fund now. We've backed a lot of first-time founders along the way, and we definitely notice a difference between first and second, and that all that does for us is mean we know what we need to focus on with the first-time founders. It's slightly different. It's about the reception of the information too. And so we noticed a difference, and we've adjusted our game in appreciation for first versus second-time founders.
Yeah. Well, but in the enterprise, though, as you said earlier on, there are a lot of very good repeat entrepreneurs, people who have already had exits and sold in the enterprise. They have great domain knowledge. They come back in with a really strong proposition, and that category gets a tremendous amount of investments because they have the investor relationships also who fund them again and again. So let's do another maybe couple of case studies of what you've invested in just to get a flavor of the kinds of companies you're invested in.
Sure. One area for us that we really like are B2B or enterprise market networks, which is an evolution of the marketplace, a SaaS-enabled market network. And I think our firm's formed in 2009. It's fast forward 10 years. It's not enough to necessarily either just open a marketplace and say, hey, we're a marketplace, we're open for business, because most likely you're not the first one in your vertical, you're not the first one in your industry, and it's too noisy out there. Simultaneously, it's almost not enough to just have a straight software product. So many of the things that have been built, the tools are out there, and if they are, they may not be a venture scale billion-dollar returns. I know we're going to talk about that later. And so what's interesting for us is where we get to a SaaS-enabled marketplace. And so we have a couple examples in the portfolio, and I'm going to highlight two because they're kind of different in how that SaaS ignites the marketplace. The first one is a company called Building Connected. We exited it last year. It was a construction software company where the software was designed for general contractors to support their bidding process. And so I, coming out of real estate and real estate development, knew this problem well. We would send a project out to bid, and if something came back with an update from the city where we had to tweak a plan, we had to manually go send it out to the whatever number of subcontractors that were bidding on the job. The Building Connected software enabled that element of the process. Good piece of software, but what really made it exciting was the natural network that it activated. So you have these general contractors that are using it and posting jobs, or not necessarily posting jobs for bid at the start, but saying, hey, contractor, if you want to bid, come to the site and use it. So the subs would come on, and then eventually we got to a point where that sub would come on and then could look at other posted jobs. And so while it didn't start as a job posting board or a work posting board, that's what it could become because you had this natural network effect of the software driving other users to a particular place. And so Building Connect was a really interesting one.
Subscription revenue and marketplace transaction revenue.
The company exited right as we were turning on marketplace transactions, but that is the goal. And this next one I'm going to talk about had that as well. A marketplace in the chemicals industry called Node with a K, Knowde. Instead of having a software product like a SaaS tool, it had a storefront tool for chemical producers to then sell their wares. The chemical industry is very stagnant, the kind of old school, and there's not a lot of online e-commerce. And so that upfront software product, rather than being a workflow tool, was an e-commerce storefront that enabled transactions, and then just recently started turning on the marketplace. So you can monetize the tool and potentially the network or the marketplace downstream. And the saying goes, you either come for the network and stay for the tool, or you come for the tool and stay for the network. But in either case, if the founder just tried to open up a marketplace and say, hey, we're a chemicals marketplace, come to us, no one's going to come. It's too, even in this case, even though there aren't many, no one's going to pay a service fee for relationships they already have. And so Node and Building Connected are strong examples of our market network thesis.
Very interesting. Now, I have a question that comes to my mind based on your exiting of the construction marketplace. So, this is something I'm seeing in small fund investment strategies, portfolio strategies, is that not everybody is playing for this unicorn, trying to build unicorns, billion-dollar companies, and staying through the whole, timeline of that. Especially small early stage funds are often actually following the strategy of very capital efficient business building and then exiting out early. Sounds like that is something you are doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. we have a metric we track internally here called enterprise value to return the fund. It's simple math. It's a $40 million fund divided by our percentage ownership, call it 10%, equals 400 million. And so we target an EV to return the fund of sub 400 million, which means we have to own more than 10% upon exit. Very few companies make it to the $1 billion mark. We hear about every single one, but there's a 99.9% that don't. And so for our business model, there's a couple business models in seed and pre-seed investing. Ours is having a concentrated portfolio approach where if and when we do get that $1 billion outcome, it's going to return the fund 3 or 4 times. What we can't do is have our one amazing shot on goal that goes to $1 billion only return half the fund. That's not a winning business model. So for us, we really focus on this EV to return the fund, which is a proxy of ownership, which for us means going early with conviction into these founders, not writing $50,000 checks, but writing $500,000 checks. And so we price our investments to be able to return the fund with quote unquote modest exits. Now that has to be several hundred million, but that's how we think about it.
So what happened in the exit of the construction marketplace, SaaS-enabled marketplace? Who acquired the company, and could you talk a bit more about that scenario? How much money had the company?
You bet. So we were getting to the point, we talk about going all the way, and Building Connected was at an inflection point where it either needed to go all the way, become a standalone $1 billion business, go public, or get bought for $1 billion, or it had an opportunity to exit. And the company had created optionality for itself. It had term sheets to raise $50 million, or it created a stalking horse with both Procore and Autodesk, who was the eventual acquirer, to come buy it. And so I think creating that optionality was key. So the founders could look at, okay, if I take the 50 million and try to go all the way, here's my ownership, here's the numbers I have to get to, versus optionality on this exit, which was at a really attractive multiple at the time, maybe 30x revenue. Of course, fast forward a year and it's 15x revenue because the company was doubling and was turning on marketplace. And so the founders looked at it and said, there's a risk element to us trying to go all the way. Certainly there's upside there and it could be higher, but they took the earlier exit. We never got to that marketplace transaction or the network transaction. But Autodesk felt that it fit perfectly in their suite of tools.
And how much money had gone into the company at the point of exit?
I think, I can actually check this for you. I think probably around 60 million. My record.
60 million, so that was 60, not a capital efficient situation. Okay, got it.
No, they had raised a Series B. They had gone, so we did the pre-seed. That was actually a seed round. And then they raised a Series A, and then little extension of the Series A, and then a Series B.
Interesting. Okay. So, question about real estate, since that's a background you have, and I'm sure that background informs your investment strategy. What do you see happening, given that we are going through this tremendous work from home trend at the moment, habit-forming trend, habits that people love, actually. I was talking to a friend yesterday. This is a couple that lives in Fremont and works on the other side of the peninsula in Redwood City and Belmont. And they have, in normal times, they've been commuting 3 hours every day, and now they're working from home, and it's added such great quality of life to their situation. And this is true at scale. This is true at scale. So what do you see?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I'm certainly old school. Here I am in the office. It's my sanctuary. I am much more productive at the office. But there's certainly scenarios where working from home makes more sense, whether it's a commute, whether it's the nature of the work that you do. I was commenting to Maureen before we started here that San Francisco's done a very good job of this whole pandemic, and I think we're obviously tech forward and had the tools and experience working from home. Yes, we're rule followers as well, but the nature of a lot of the work we do here lends itself to that. And so San Francisco made a very easy transition to it, and as a result, the health of the city has been much better. And so it's certainly going to stay. The question is how much. We've all gone from 0 to 100% this work from home, and what percent remains. There's certain studies over time and in anthropology that show that maybe 5 or 10% of the habits that form during these times stick. So that's probably my assessment. But again, I'm old school. I like the office. I have to meet entrepreneurs in person. That's a really important thing. It'll be interesting to see when we do make our next investment. It will be one where we didn't meet the entrepreneur in person. And so just a little test for ourselves. We're trying to figure it out. But
I'm hearing
it's going to change.
I'm hearing senior people in commercial real estate firms saying, oh, this is the end of commercial real estate, and they're really panicking.
Yep, that's for sure. I mean, that's what my family does in Idaho, where I'm from, and it's a concern. I mean, there's restaurants and there's gathering places, and look, we're still human beings, and we've been gathering for hundreds of thousands of years, and I don't think that's going to stop overnight. But rather than asking why should we do this on a Zoom, it's going to be why should we do this in person, and the default is that may be the biggest switch. Is, if it's a gathering to watch a football game, that's one thing. But if it's a meeting, I think the default may be to a Zoom, and then asking why we should be doing it in person.
Or eating at home. If you want to meet friends, if it's just let's say something that is very much a part of the Bay Area's social habit is, meeting one-on-one or two-on-two. Meet at home, cook something and meet at home. I think cooking at home is a habit that has really taken off.
For sure. I'm laughing because I'm not the cook at home, but we have 2 little babies. And so, of course, we've been cooking at home for the last couple of years. And what we would do is host a dinner party because then we can put the girls down and then hang out with our friends. And so we have been doing that a lot in the last couple of years. And I think that's going to stay. And I think that the nature of that gathering, whether you're gathered around the kitchen, have a formal sit down at a dining room table if we have space, which a lot of us don't in the city, or sitting around a coffee table in the living room, that the nature of those things are going to change, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's something actually we do a lot in normal life. We do a lot of cooking and entertaining at home, and we kind of like that over restaurants. We like restaurants, but it's the Silicon Valley area. San Francisco is different.
Yeah.
I live in Menlo Park. Silicon Valley doesn't have that many great restaurants. It has a lot of very expensive, mediocre restaurants, and we don't. We are very good cooks, so we much prefer eating.
Yeah, great. Now, doing the dishes is another thing. If you'll drive yourself crazy having to do them every day. Yeah, I think that's right.
Interesting. It's all going to evolve to some place of stability, but at the moment, the world is really falling apart, and
yeah. Or maybe it's already fallen apart. Now we're putting it back together.
Well, the second wave, third wave seems very precarious, actually.
That's right.
All right. Well, wonderful conversation. Folks, we're going to switch to the entrepreneur pitch section, and Garrett's going to stay on for a bit. And let me just set some expectations for those of you who are pitching today, as well as those who are pitching in upcoming sessions. This is a safe working session. We are completely on your side. Someone asked recently, what is the difference between what we do and what Shark Tank does? Well, this has nothing to do with playing to the crowd. Shark Tank is show business. We're not in show business. This is a working session, so no need to worry that there's going to be any kind of gratuitous snarkiness. What there will be, though, is absolutely candid, constructive feedback. And that may be, that may oppose your current worldview. And that's something you're going to have to take in stride to benefit from this interaction. And it is possible that you might disagree with my feedback or Garrett's feedback. That's fine. You just need to consider it because we are speaking from experience. You're going to need to process that feedback from a rational point of view, analytical point of view, and decide how you want to address that feedback. Remember one thing, not all businesses can raise money. Not all businesses should raise money, and raising money doesn't guarantee success. This is important because we see, there is this misconception in the startup industry, startup ecosystem, that the first thing you need to do is go raise a lot of money. That's not true. A lot of businesses actually don't fit the funding requirements structure of a standard venture scale company. VCs are trying to go from 0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years, and not all businesses have that structure. You could have a slower growth, more linear growth curve than this exponential hockey stick kind of growth curve. And if that is the case, then you need to build your business in a bootstrap fashion or work with investors who are, interested in alternative models. There's all kinds of alternative investment models that have emerged in the market, and we work with some of those as well. But you just have to understand all the nuances of your decision. So we will start today with Rajat Jain from Toronto. Rajat, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on.
Thank you, Sramana. So my name is Rajat Jain, and I am working on a B2B startup for the steel industry. Why I add the word high friction here is because our SKUs are non-standard. It's like selling pre-owned cars. So we don't know what kind of inventory we will get in the next month. Can I get the next slide, please? Okay, so since we launched in August last year, we've seen tremendous traction without any significant marketing costs. We grew up to 300,000 in sales in 3 months with 100% month-on-month growth. And even in holiday season, we had decent traction. We picked up sales again in February, and even in March last month, we did we were a little shy of $500,000 in sales. We did like 488,000 in sales in the 7th month. Our customers love us, so we have a total of 6 customers at the moment, and out of which 5 customers buy every month. We have repeat customers. That's fine.
Rajat, could you talk a little bit about who these customers are in terms of what kinds of customers are we talking about?
So my customers primarily are steel part manufacturers. Those would be steel stud manufacturers, roll forming manufacturers, any part which you can imagine which is made out of steel is the companies who are manufacturing these parts are my customers. These customers have a net worth of anywhere between 10 to 200 million, and an average order size is anywhere from 40 to 200,000.
So you said you have 5, 6 customers. Which side is this, the buy side or the sell side?
These are 5, 6 buyers.
5, 6 buyers, and who's selling?
So we have 3 suppliers on our platform, and with a total supply of around $45 million already listed on our platform. And these are steel distributors. Steel distributors are steel service centers who stock steel coils, which is, can I go back?
Okay. Great.
Yeah. You see the background, this is the material which we are actually selling, the steel coils.
Okay. And what is your marketplace commission?
So presently we are charging 3% commission to our suppliers for every sale facilitated through the platform. However, we have a strategy where we want to increase our revenues down the road.
What 3% commission is unusual in the marketplace business. Why did you settle on that number?
We wanted to get to market validation. We didn't want to start with building a product and start to generating revenue too soon. We wanted to see if actually the buyers are going to buy from our platform, and for that we needed critical mass on the supply side. And if I can go ask us like suppliers 12% margin, but it's just going to reduce my supply side. So I need to have. Yes, Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
question on that.
Going with your presentation, other things come to my mind, but go ahead.
Well, a question on the 3%, right? It's like, what do you get for it? So, interestingly, my note example where the seller wasn't willing to pay the VIG or the fee on it until they saw the value of increased sales, of the handling of the sales, whether it's hazardous materials, and so what do I get for the 3%?
You get a PO for 3% from a customer.
I get a PO that I potentially would not have had before.
That's right.
Got it. And how do I find the marketplace?
For the supplier, there are roughly 480 suppliers across North America, and we contact them. For the customers, we have a few channels, marketing channels, which we are working on. One is, of course, search engine optimization. We've managed to come on the first page with at least 7 keywords on Google. And then we have a cold calling process, and then we do run Google ads. And it's a very small industry, it's more of word of mouth. So at the moment, the traction we are getting is completely word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's the market network concept, right? And so how to overcome that, because that can be good to start, but how do you make it lasting?
Right. No, I agree with you. It is to start, you need to have some market network and some, I have connections in the industry, right? However, spreading the word around, there are ways to do it. One very effective way I find is going to conferences which are related to the steel industry, but we are not at that stage yet. It's an expensive cost, and especially with the COVID situation, we're just completely stuck with working from home.
Well, no, there are ways to the level that you're operating at in terms of GMV and listings and so forth. This is something that you can do with telesales, web sales. So we have in 1Mby1M, we use for B2B customer acquisition. We do a thing. We have a methodology called Sales 2.0, which you could easily roll out with no physical, visits and stuff, and that I think would scale very well for you. But
I would be very interested in learning more about it.
So keep going. Why don't we go through your presentation and talk about what specifically you need help with, because we have limited time.
Yeah, of course. I'll just quickly run through the presentation. So the market size for North America in our industry is around 4 billion GMV annually and 48 billion. Right. I've addressed the pain points. So the steel industry is old-fashioned. There are numerous layers of brokers which add time and cost, and sellers are limited to their geographical areas. It's a very old-fashioned industry where they are still doing backdated methods of running day-to-day operations. Our platform is simple. A customer can come on the platform and search for the specific type of steel they are looking for based on their specifications, which would include thickness, width, weight, and they can even look for steel in a specific region. As you see, we have, as of last week, we have like $43 million worth of inventory on our platform. I'll pass on the value prop because time is limited. So this is our revenue model at the moment. We are generating 3 to 4% revenue, which we charge our suppliers. In this next phase, post-funding, we want to intermediate the deals. Right now, the PO is directly going to the supplier, and they can intermediate us at any time because they have our customers' information. Because the order sizes are big and the customers annual sales is anywhere between $500,000 to $4 million, we want to keep the process anonymous, and we want to get purchase orders from our customers, and we want to issue purchase orders to our suppliers, which in turn also increases our profit margins to 10 to 15%. In the last phase, we want to even disintermediate the brokers, and we want to buy directly from the steel mills like US Steel or ArcelorMittal. If we get to that stage, our margins would increase to 30 to 50%.
It's a very capital intensive business. If you go tell that to investors that you want to go from a marketplace to this heavy capital intensive inventory type business, that's a very different business.
So I would like to add here that we will only be purchasing inventory based on confirmed POs, and we will not be holding any stock more than 90 days. That is how it makes a difference.
Financing for that PO then?
Yes, we do.
A non-equity financing for the PO?
That's right. As Garrett also mentioned, right? It's in a marketplace industry, in the steel industry also, there has been like 15 people in the past who've tried to just build a tool and try to put it out in the market, and it hasn't worked. Uh, I feel there needs to be some skin in the game. You need to own the inventory. You need to take some sorts of accountability for the deals which are being facilitated through the platform. And that is the only way we can get critical mass on the platform. So there is. Sorry, go ahead.
Garrett, what do you say?
Well, I mean, the inventory taking is a later step of the business, or inventory risk is a later step of the business. I think the question I have too is around the number of SKUs, because you said the initial pitch was it was hard to I forget what the term was, but if there's a lot of fragmentation on the one side, that can be a huge advantage. And then you only take inventory risk if you have financing set up and or have an additional margin on it. And so, that fragmentation on one side or on both sides is necessary to create a marketplace. So theoretically, this would be a stodgy vertical that potentially is untapped. I don't know about competition, but our business.
So our biggest competition in the market presently is Rebus. It's a company based out of Georgia, and they've been in the market 3 years. They have been funded around $3.9 million by Bowery Capital, based out of New York. And they are exactly working on this model where their margins are 10%. They own the inventory for 60 days. And they have, well, this is not updated, I'm sorry. They have a total of 19 employees. I am beating them single-handedly on every KPI in 6 months. The reason why I'm able to do that is the founder doesn't have industry experience and industry connections. And I was VP sales for a steel distributor for 8 years. So I have connections in the industry, and that's how I could grow so fast. But however, they are also owning the inventory. I have distributors who they work with, and they buy the steel from them and sell it to their customers in exactly the same process which I was speaking. The only reason I think I am better than them is I have industry connections and I have domain experience.
Yeah, which is necessary.
There have been, it's already being done in China. I don't have it on the deck. There are 2 companies out of China, Zygong and Yuval, who have raised somewhere around $400 million in a Series D round. Both companies have raised $400 million each. And they are scaling at a very good speed. They have like 1,400 employees, and they're scaling at a very good speed. They haven't touched the North American market yet. They are in 6 countries in Asia, but they haven't reached the North American market yet.
That's the real competition, because you're, the kind of commissions that you have currently in a marketplace business model will not get you to the revenue levels that would be interesting for VCs if you don't look at the global market, the global GMV. But that in the global GMV, that is the real competition, right?
So we are only focusing on one product market fit. I have around 12 different product market fits with the similar kind of GMVs, with the similar kind of market size, which we can get into once we can nail down this one product market fit.
What does that mean?
So there are a lot of models in this industry where you can provide financing, you can provide credit insurance, logistics, storage, and processing. So these are different product market fits you can work in, which have similar kind of revenues and similar kind of market sizes.
I see what you're saying. Okay, got it. All right, well, very good. So it looks like you have domain knowledge. You are moving right along. So is there any question that you want to ask before we go to the next presentation?
No,
Me? Is this for me?
Is it? Yeah, I don't know. Harry, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one last question is about that, or swing side, I think, is about that market network concept and the coming for the tool, staying for the network. Am I coming for the network here because it has types of steel and parts that I can't normally get, and then staying for a tool? that supports the marketplace or supports the distribution, or is it the other way around? And so that's my last swing thought here on this.
So a customer is going
potentially is what he's saying.
So a customer is going to be coming for the network of hundreds of distributors, which he doesn't have presently. And because it is like the SKUs are non-standard, a distributor doesn't get a standard specification of steel for the next 10 years. What he's getting today, he might not be getting tomorrow. And that's why there is this constant ruckus in the market where customers are always looking for suppliers who can source them the steel they're specifically looking for. So if there can be one platform, I mean, to answer your question, it's going to be the network they'll be coming from, and then they'll stick to them.
Stay for a tool that you build out. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
We're going to thank you, Rajat. We're going to move to Diane next. Diane, please unmute your line and tell us what you're doing.
Hi. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak about my business. My name is Diane Tinsley. I am from New York, and just a fun fact about me, I went swimming with stingrays years ago, and I loved and enjoyed it. My company is called Kids Dance Revolution, and we host kiddie discos. Next slide, please. Our discos are geared for families with children 9 months to 7 years old, and it's a club atmosphere. It's a discotheque atmosphere. So there's the lighting, and there's noise makers, and we have fun activities. We have the face painters, and it's actually an event to have parents socialize with others. Allow basically for first-time parents to be able to come out of the house and interact with other first-time parents so they don't feel isolated and alone. Our target markets are primarily parents of a certain age, diverse in race, single parents, families, household income of basically over $35,000 in the New York tri-state area, pretty much. Tech savvy, they love to travel, they love music. Our secondary market are the grandparents. We've been doing a lot of advertising in that area also. Grandparents love their grandchildren and want to spend more quality time with them. So they're our secondary market. Basically the same criteria, family oriented, very youthful and brand loyal. We look for. What our research showed us was that families are spending an average of 37 minutes a day with their children, and this is actually research based on before the pandemic. So that's where this was birthed out of. That's where Kids Dance Revolution came out of. Our efforts to solve that problem, that parents were only spending 37 minutes out of a day of quality time with their families. So,
Diane, is this a concept, or are you already doing it? Or were you already doing it before the pandemic?
We started in September. We launched our first disco in September of last year.
And what happened?
Huge success. A lot of parents started to attending, and we started to build momentum, and then the pandemic hit. We were just doing pop-ups this year to test the market to see if parents were even interested in our concept.
And what did you learn between September and the pandemic? There was quite a bit of time. What happened in that time? How much are people willing to pay? What did you learn? Like, what was the business model? How many people were showing up for a particular event?
We had very slow growth. So in September, we only had 10 families show up for our first event. But each month after that, it's been steady growth until the pandemic. Our last event was in February, and we had our most successful event so far. We had 50 families show up.
And how much are they paying?
Well, we have different price points. So if there's a family of 4, there's a $40 family pass they can purchase. If it's a parent coming in with a child under the age of 2, then they pay just $12.
And what does it cost to produce an event like this?
It's costing us $900 per event right now because the spaces that we're using only hold 100 people.
I see. Okay, so you are facing tremendous disruption in this pandemic.
Yes, and we postponed everything till August 23rd, and that's when we sort of like pushed everything back to having the next event. So I have a 12-year-old DJ who's part of my roster, which families seem to love. The children adore him because he's sort of in their age group, just a little bit older, so they kind of look up to him. Most of my staff are teenagers. They take care of the snack bar and setup and different things. And what we've noticed is that the younger children who attend really like seeing the older children sort of work the event.
So, what comes to my mind listening to you is that for the next 18 to 24 months, the likelihood of you're being able to attract people to large events is going to be very low. So your business, if you want to do this business going forward, you're going to have to do small events. You will not be able to do 100 people events is my guess. You would have to do small events and maybe more frequent but less expensive, smaller events. Have you thought about that?
Yes. I was actually looking at, because we were in the pop-up stages, I was looking at different venues to book and doing them weekly. Because right now I've only been doing them once a month.
Yeah. You can do probably 20 people events in different neighborhoods and, I doubt it that you can go much beyond that. And I think you're going to need to build up trust. You're going to need to create some of the pieces that you're going to need to put together is some assurance of who's coming to these events and what kind of safety features do those families follow. Like what are their behaviors, what do they do, what kind of, so I mean if I am a mother and I want to take my small child to an event like this, I would not go unless I know who else is coming and what kind of safety practices they follow. And this psychology is going to be true, I think, for the next couple of years and maybe even beyond. Large events is probably the category that is going to suffer the most. There's a question out there in the public chat. Shamini Dhana is asking if there's one industry that you see transformation happening because of this pandemic, which one and why. I think the big example is large events, whether it's sports or concerts or museums and or any kinds of gatherings, nightclubs. That's where I think it's going to hit really hard. Garrett, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, all of that is correct. Doesn't mean, again, I'm a believer in human beings and our desire to gather over time. If the business was interesting before, it will most likely be interesting again. Now, it will be a headwind, and have to think about that. I also think that a lot of times the best advice we give entrepreneurs is to not raise venture funding, and that may be appropriate here, where, yes, you want to raise outside funding, but potentially thinking about the nature. Maybe it's angels that have more patient capital. Maybe it's people that have a specific interest here. So from a venture scale standpoint, it's not obvious yet. And so
this is not a venture scale business. I think it's more a bootstrap business.
Right. And so if you have to raise, thinking about the right types of investors to have with you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, Diane, before we move on?
Nope. You helped me so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Vivek, you're up next, Los Angeles, California.
Hey, thank you so much for having me and providing me with this opportunity. Hope you guys are safe.
Go ahead.
All right, may I go to the next slide, please? So today we're going to talk about OmMuse. So welcome to OmMuse. This is the future of music development. OmMuse is an ecosystem provided for musicians. We connect artists of complementary musical skill sets globally. We provide a cloud-based digital audio workstation, or DAW, for musicians, so that way they're able to collaborate in real time. We also allow artists to copyright and distribute their work to major streaming services. Musicians will also have access to our proprietary marketplace where they can purchase components of music such as lyrics, vocals, or instrumentals. Our ecosystem, in short, lets artists create the next hit song from the leisure of their home. May I have the next slide, please? Overall, the world of music is evolving, and it's time for a constructive shift to take place. We'll review the current state, and then we'll talk about how OmMuse can help further enhance and improve the current state for artists. So currently, there's individuals of isolated musical talent sets are unable to A, find each other, and B, connect to create together on the available platforms. We provide a unique platform that allows musicians to connect, create, and collaborate with each other. Oftentimes, struggling artists are dissuaded from pursuing and developing their talents due to lack of financial compensation and motivation. We reverse the traditional business model and favor artists so that way they can be compensated on their specific terms, and we'll review that soon. Signed professional artists are often, restricted due to contractual covenants. However, with our platform, we allow the musicians to own their masters and at the same time to create freely and collaborate with other talents. So that way they are truly free to create as they see fit. We also provide a public marketplace for artists to enhance, present, and work together. This marketplace doesn't currently exist for artists. And at the same time, we provide an opportunity for artists to directly copyright and distribute their works. Next slide, please. So the market size for music and musicians in general is quite large. Oftentimes music is enjoyed in sort of a leisurely manner. However, from a content creation perspective, there's also quite a large opportunity. Streaming is currently king, and there continues to be an increase in the size of subscription models, also as seen provided by the data from the RIAA, which is the Recording Industry Association of America. May I see the next slide, please? So our business model is quite unique. We basically provide artists with the tools to succeed. Our ecosystem is comprehensive. We basically provide a way for them to meet each other, to create on our digital audio workstation, and then thereafter go to copyright or to our specific marketplace where components of songs are sold. Now, this is very unique in the sense that the platform is complementary for musicians to use. We are flipping the model. We're not charging or penalizing artists who are struggling and may not have the means to pay for subscriptions or to pay for the tools to create, such as the digital audio workstation we provide. So we are in the business of providing tools and empowering artists to create. Now with that, obviously the platform needs to succeed financially as well. So the way that we've set it up is if an artist succeeds, then the platform succeeds. So basically, OmMuse will own 15% of any copyright for music that's created on the platform. We'll also receive 15% of total revenue generated from streaming services, and then a 10% fee for all sales in the marketplace. Again, the sales in the marketplace are all dictated by the artist, so they have full control over the price of their talent sets. We also intend on having in-platform purchases as well, such as DAW feature upgrades, profile boosts, and ads. May I see the next slide, please? So this is just a quick demonstration of our web-based platform, what the platform currently looks like to users. So on the left, you basically see the social component, which is where we connect, very akin and nostalgic to some of the social media platforms that are there. And on the right, you actually see the digital audio workstation. May I see the next slide?
So I have a question actually on your platform.
Yes.
Is it audio only?
It's web-based. Currently, it's audio only. The plan is for there to be a music video component, but currently it's audio only.
So when you publish to YouTube, you publish it as what? As audio only?
We don't publish into YouTube. We publish into Spotify, Apple Music, streaming services that are audio only at the moment.
That's kind of problematic, I think, because the enormous music consumption that happens on YouTube is something. If an artist takes the pain to create this material, I mean, you could do something as simple as just putting a cover image and publish just the audio on YouTube, but YouTube needs to be part of the program.
So we can definitely make that consideration, but right now the way we have it set up is for Pandora, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Music, but we're open to all suggestions for sure.
Okay.
So thank you for that. So this is the mobile platform. Again, we have iOS as well as on Android. We want easy access for the musicians to use the platform basically on the go. Should they decide that they want to upload something immediately, we want to make that access fully there, or should they want to purchase a track so that way they can start collaborating with somebody on the go? We want that opportunity to exist. Next slide,
and what
please.
about the editing functions? Like, if you're, let's say you have different segments coming from different musicians, and you want to mix them and so forth. Your auditing tool has all of that. I mean, editing tool has all of that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the digital audio workstation is cloud-based. It's fully functional. It has all of the tools necessary for one to create music from scratch, or to take components that, for example, if Garrett were to send something to the platform and you were also to send something to the platform and I wanted to add something to that, we can all collaborate on our digital audio workstation.
Okay.
And that certainly gets to the workflow tool. It's interesting. My brother's in the music business, and I sent him music deals over the years. And the thing you said that is absolutely true is you can't charge the starving artist. He's like, there's no way that an artist who's trying to get discovered is going to pay for this.
No, absolutely. And again, we want to empower people to create. There's so many people, and this idea came out of just, so many individuals I know as professionals that gave up on their musical dreams just because there was no financial compensation for them. Of course, everyone has the dream to become a rock star, but it is what it is. But this will allow people that are still in school or still have the hobby of music to still continue to pursue it. And we want to empower those individuals. Sorry, I digress. So, so the upcoming goals, currently we have a private beta in which we currently have 22 artists using the platform. We're planning on a limited public release soon, and the plan is for public launch in Q4 of this year. May I see the next slide, please? So the market adoption, thus far, our growth has been organic, and it's by word of mouth. We plan on leveraging social media outlets. Through our social media alone, we have 1,200 interested musicians. Our plan is for strategic partnerships with up-and-coming artists, including those that are currently working with the platform, as well as those more established artists who could raise further awareness. We also intend on contacting music schools so we can increase our talent pool, particularly those great universities across the country that have excellent music schools, and there's a lot of talent that's basically there, and if we can connect this isolated talent, I think it would be mutually beneficial. We also want to pursue music events and do further outreach in that sort of regard. Again, just as we previously talked in other of the other presentations, it might be more difficult now given the new world we live in with COVID, but again, some tech conferences we had planned to go to, including South by Southwest, as well as Collision historically, would be great venues for that, including some of the other more music-centric conferences. The other part is we plan on offering original content that would be OmMuse-centric, so almost like akin to original work that's only found on the actual platform to further, enhance the interest within the platform. It has the next slide, please.
The music business is notorious to not be financially viable. Very few musicians actually make a living from music.
Absolutely.
And you're saying that you want to hinge your business model to the success of these musicians to be able to monetize. How are you going to do that?
Because the reason is that we want to give all artists a chance to succeed. So if we provide the tools, there'll be more creation, there'll be more opportunity for success. There's not a dearth of success. Is it true that there's only one or two mainstream artists that make it completely big? Absolutely. But now we're seeing that there's a lot of unsigned artists that don't have the big record labels behind them that are able to achieve success. If we're able to actually give them the tools, we might be able to find more artists that have the ability to create the next hit song. And that's what we're hinging the success on, is multiple artists succeeding rather than finding the one or two, which is currently the record label model.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's no question that the industry has completely imploded. I have supported the careers of a bunch of musicians, and it's really been very, very difficult for them to, they each have other careers. The music part is something, it's their passion and they're very talented and everything, but it's impossible to make money off almost.
Of course, and then also like my personal story, and this is I play guitar. I ultimately went to medical school. I'm currently a radiation oncologist. That's what I do, but my passion is definitely music. Now, throughout this whole journey, it was difficult to find people to create a band. It was difficult to connect with people. At the same time, it was difficult for me to say, you know what, I'm going to give up my medical career, which is a little bit more of a standard risk-averse sort of profession, in order to pursue this. But the beauty of this platform is that not only will I be able to find the complementary components I would need to create a band, such as, other instrumentalists, vocalists, etc., but at the same time, should I still want to pursue my professional goals, if you're an English major and you're an excellent poet, your poetry could be the lyrics that you could sell on this platform. And sure, you sell 4 or 5 poems, but as lyrics, but hey, it gives you an opportunity to actually make some sort of income. At the same time, if you're a guitarist and you just want to upload all of your work and somebody buys your solos or intros or whatever it may be, it gives you an opportunity for income that would otherwise not be there. Obviously, we would like for people to form actual bands virtually and continue their commitments, but we want to give musicians all the avenues of possible success that they may have. So I feel like it's a platform that a lot of people, whether you're just into writing lyrics or specifically playing an instrument or going into, the whole producing aspect of it, it'll give a lot of people an opportunity to find some sort of financial success. How large that financial success will definitely depend on the quality of the work that is done, but we want to empower people to create. That's the goal. And I think that it would be a mutually beneficial prospect if we are able to get sales on the platform, specifically for the components of songs or for the entirety of songs, so that way it continues the success not only of the platform but also for the individuals on it. May I see the next slide, please?
So we need to move on, but I'm going to give you one other piece to think about is, there is actually a lot of radio stations that have started during this COVID crisis. People are doing a lot of radio right now. That's something you may want to think about just from a trend point of view and what's happening and so forth. There are, as I said, there are industries that require large gatherings that are being disrupted, where you can insert yourself potentially and have and offer a platform to do something different. Theater, for instance, is going to go through a tremendous disruption, right? People who do plays are going to have a disruption. Musicals. So all that, if you can provide ability for large groups of musicians or actors and musicians to collaborate and create larger productions, that's a highly collaborative process that is very, very difficult to do right now. There's the collaboration tools to manage projects like this doesn't really exist.
Yes, and especially now with this unique time in COVID, we are definitely trying to make the most of the current times, because this is the perfect platform for this current situation, and otherwise, just because it does allow people to connect globally that would otherwise not interact. But no, thank you so much. That's exactly being taken into consideration.
All right, because if two people need to record dialogue, they need a collaboration platform that allows them to record dialogue, and that's I don't know where you go to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the novelty of this platform. So we're really looking forward to making it public, as soon as the current developments that need to get taken are completed.
So I'll summarize my thoughts by saying that I think the business model is a question mark, and I'll let Garrett provide his concluding thoughts, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, that's been our struggle here in music in general, watching my brother over the last 20 years follow his passion. And, he makes money doing one thing, and then the business model in general is tricky. And so you bring it to a quote unquote marketplace like this. So I think that's the thing to focus on. I believe the fundamentals are sound. And so where can you provide value? Again, to that marketplace concept, what are the tools that create activity on it to drive people to it? So yeah, keep going here.
Thank you so much, guys.
I think this is where the big question marks are. I think you're going to need to really work on this to convince anybody that this is possible to do right now. All right. Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you.
Mustafa, you're next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody. Good morning in your time. My name is Mustafa Ramadan. I'm the CEO of Storat.com. We are a startup based out of Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Actually, I'm joining you here because I'm planning to relocate to Silicon Valley whenever the situation opens in the next 2 months. We are going to continue our operations in the Middle East, but we are looking to start expanding our platform in the US. I'm from Houston, so I will not have a problem traveling there. I have a master in business administration, bachelor in computer science. I worked for 20 years with Microsoft, so I'm not your typical founder because I started when I'm like 44 years old. Our objective is to really override the services business with an appointment platform marketplace. Next slide. We truly believe in the super app idea. I know that a lot who's tackling the services business is tackling it at a very narrow vertical. We are trying to do it at a horizontal level. So what is Storat.com? It's a platform, a mobile app, as well as a website for consumer to find local services merchants, book appointments, and buy services with the best prices and flexible payment option. We have already launched the website. We have a consumer mobile app and a merchant mobile app. Next slide. So currently we are focusing on the health and wellness, sports and fitness, and home services. Amazingly, 2/3 of our business stopped last month. However, we made a certain pivot, and amazingly, things are still going on with that pivot. So our annualized revenue projection for this year is $1.4 million versus $600,000 last year. All the numbers you see is based on being in UAE only, but for the last 3 months, actually before COVID, we considered to start launching in the US once we reach a certain level of maturity. Our average order size is around $216, and our take rate is between 20 and 31%. We have around now 11 employees, 3 based in Abu Dhabi, 4 based in Bangalore. We have an office in Bangalore, and we have 4 based in Cairo. And also we have an office in Cairo. Move next, please. So the solution is a services marketplace. It's common now. But what we started with actually over the last 3 years, we went through 3 pivots. We started as an advertisement platform with a SaaS model where we help services merchants build a presence online, like a website, a lead management system, in less than a day, or actually less than a couple of hours, using our own proprietary technology. With time, when we introduced the e-commerce model where we allow booking appointments, taking orders online, the dynamics changed for us. And that's what we said we'll focus on, especially that we are a very small team. So what we offer consumers is a way to find local services merchants, book appointments, and buy the services online. And our marketplace is a bit tailored for the Middle East market, where 80% of people want to pay cash instead of credit card, and that introduces a challenge to you as a marketplace where you cannot control the transaction. But we came up with a solution for that. Next. So it's very simple from the consumer side. They find local services providers. They can find them on our website or on our mobile app or on the merchant's own website. And that's the key part here. We focus on certain kinds of merchants where we can enable them online, whether on our platform or on their own website, with forms specific to those merchants. So we're not trying to sell to every services merchant in the world. We are trying to focus, for example, on cleaning business, on medical centers, on moving business, where we can give them a packaged set of forms that address their services. So the consumer will request an appointment, will select the payment method, and then based on that, the merchant will get notified. Next. The merchant will get an appointment request. Now, our marketplace has two models. Services merchant like cleaning, moving, what will happen is that once the customer requests an order, the system will price it and it will get distributed to all the merchants on that category. For example, all the cleaning companies that are operating in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. And then the first that accepts the order will be awarded to him. He will not see the customer information. The order will be distributed to everybody, and they will get notification, SMS, and an email. Whomever read the order first and accept it, get that order. We have a second model that we are working with medical centers as well as sports and fitness. We focus on medical cosmetic, spas, salons, where the customer, we think that the merchant himself makes a difference. So it's less on demand, more an appointment for a laser hair removal session, or for example, a spa or salon. So it's very important for the buyer to be able to select that specific merchant. So we allow them to do that directly from the platform. Next. So our business model is simple. Now it's focused on commission based. We take between 20 to 31% take rate. Because of the cash and delivery option, we came up with what we call it a prepaid model. So the merchant will pay us $20, $100, $50 to be able to accept orders or be able to advertise on the platform. Once he received enough order where we charge our commission, then he can go ahead and start filling his account more. We are focusing only in the services that we can price online. Anything we cannot price online or through our call center that's based in Cairo, that's very quickly we can price it and distribute it. That's something we don't focus on. So the prepaid account allows us to secure the transaction at the merchant side. Some of the transaction we secure it at the buyer side, where the buyer decides to pay by credit card. And then the credit card transaction gets transacted through our platform. We already started with a subscription-based model. However, we said, okay, we'll focus on commission-based only. Although the subscription-based model was very successful with us, and we reached a revenue to close to around $30,000, $40,000 per month. But then once we introduced the e-commerce, so instead, where we said, okay, we are in the subscription-based model, we are making a max of $1,000 per merchant. And then there is a high cost of reaching to those merchants and acquiring them. Because we are small, we are bootstrapped, we are not VC backed, let's focus on something where we are able to generate $20,000, $30,000 commission per merchant. And that's what we focus on. But now with what's happening in the market, and a lot of people are trying to get really online again, are trying to sell online, we are thinking of introducing the subscription-based model. The subscription-based model, what we give the merchant is a website, a virtual number to be able to track their leads, a payment gateway, especially the small merchant that it's very difficult to set up all of this for them. All of that gets set up in less than 1 or 2 hours. Okay? And then for the orders that they get generated through the website, we charge around 5% commission. But any orders that comes through our mobile app or our website, we charge between 20 and 32% commission. So far, we have fulfilled around, this data is a bit, around 5,000 orders that's booked and fulfilled. And we generated around 700,000 GMV. Our growth up until we were hit with COVID was aggregated around 20% month over month for the last 6 months, on an average of 25% take rate. Remember, we are operating only in United Arab Emirates, Dubai. It's a small country, but we're able to gain 48,000 users, 61,000 email subscribers, and 140 verified mobiles. Interesting, here in this country, people are not willing to give you their email, but it's very easy to register through mobile, to give you their mobile number. So when we switched our system from registering by email to registering by mobile, we noticed that there is an increase in registration and increase in orders. So far, yeah.
Are local businesses open in the United Arab Emirates right now?
Nope, but actually what they are allowing is that, I'll send you now a link. What happened with us, yeah, this is, for example, one of the services we offer. How do I chat? Yeah, so I sent you a link for one of the services like we are offering. Our platform was meant to be B2C. Over the last 45 days, it became B2B without intentionally doing this. So what happens, we launched a service called Disinfection and Sterilization Service, which is basically people who are, or companies who are looking to acquire disinfection service from certified disinfection companies. And this business alone now is around, I think, this month will close close to $70,000 to $80,000 for that, on a take rate of 25%. Also, we noticed like our sports and health and wellness businesses stopped, but our home and office services business picked up, especially around disinfection, sterilization, deep cleaning, home cleaning. And there is another business that's picking up with us well, which is moving services, moving and shipping. Because there is a lot of people, remember, this country here is like 90% immigrants, but a lot of people are starting to leave here and go back to their homes, because 50% of the workforce are under jobs. So it's sad, but for us, it became an opportunity to be able to
but these are stopgap businesses, right? What is the question that I'm pondering based on what you've told us so far is that you want to build a local services facing business, local merchants facing business, a la Thumbtack, Yelp, OpenTable. You know, the comparable category for your business is that category, Groupon. Now, historically, these kinds of business, I'm not even taking into account COVID for the moment, just looking at what it takes to build those businesses, these are extremely capital-intensive businesses. As you said yourself, it's a very expensive customer acquisition cost. And in the lifetime value of the customers is not that great. So these businesses have not been fantastic businesses. So the only way you can do something like this is by accessing huge amounts of capital. I don't think this is a business that can be built to scale without a lot of capital. You can do the kinds of stuff that you're doing. I find it very interesting how you are extremely resourceful and extremely nimble on your feet to come up with this disinfection and sterilization business. That's awesome. The fact that you can do all that is great. But I think the big picture of what the business that you had in mind is an incredibly capital-intensive business. So that worries me.
That's correct.
Because the investor community is not really excited about this class of businesses right now. Garrett, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, there's also like the whole problem is we've seen this before, but that nimbleness is fantastic. That's part of the beauty. And then it sounds like you're providing some real tools to the service providers. And so again, come for the tool, stay for the network. If there's enough value in the tool alone, whether it's managing the business, taking payments, whatever it is, there's enough value there, then you got something, because they'll come for that, and then they'll say, well, wait, I can channel all my marketing and access this marketplace from the consumer on the other end. And so conversely, the consumer will come here because this is where the service providers are, because they're here because of the tool. And so that it is interesting. I think that as you come to the United States, there are a lot of competitors out here in this. So what's the niche? How do you find it? Is it a specific vertical, specific culture? I don't know what it is, but be as capital efficient as possible here.
Yes, actually, and that's our plan, is that we know that this is capital intensive. We know as a marketplace in general, to be able to succeed, it's extremely capital intensive. However, what we learned is to be bootstrapped. Even when I launched in the US, the company is 11 people. Even when it's reached 100 people, there will be only 5 in the US and 95 in India and Cairo and other places. Just to let you know, I have 11 employees. My now operational cost or HR cost is like $8,000. And I have really good talent. If you see the tools that we have built, you'll be impressed. So that's the mentality we are going to. So now with COVID and we are focusing in services, I know we will not be able to raise capital. I know that I need to show major traction when I land there. So I think the SaaS model will help us. And one thing that we succeeded here is that we listen to customers, we listen to merchants and buyers and sellers, and we try to implement the tools that they are asking us for. But the thing is that UAE is a small market, but it was a great for us as to experiment with and to build a business model and have access to resources and capital.
And I think the nimbleness you're showing in the UAE is fabulous. That part I like very much. The part that worries me is that I have actually, the CEO of Thumbtack is the son of one of our really close friends. I've, covered, as an analyst, I've covered Yelp and Angie's List and, this OpenTable, this whole category for a long time. And this is not a category that scales very well, especially in the U.S. that the competition is heavy. I would caution you, you come to the U.S. with certain expectations, and given all the pandemic stuff, the local businesses are struggling like crazy. Thumbtack has laid off 250 people out of their 600 or 700 people. So this is a segment that is really getting slaughtered right now. The local service is an area that is getting absolutely slaughtered. So you may want to really rethink, where you want to do business. I mean, if you think that you have a handle on the UAE market, and with all these like nimbleness, different services that you're providing, disinfecting, etc., I would kind of stretch that out for the next 18 months and just be there and not come into the U.S.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, the business in UAE since this month, amazingly, because we took some cost-cutting initiative, although we are nimble, and we moved to cash flow based accounting, we are profitable starting this month. So and the company can operate to be profitable in UAE while I try to explore the US market. We are coming.
But I don't know. Say go slow on that, because you can end up burning a lot of your hard-earned bootstrapped cash and get nowhere in the U.S. right now.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you for the advice.
You're welcome. All right, folks, that concludes our entrepreneur pitch section. We actually are already at 9:28 a.m. So we try to finish by 9:30. I'll do a very quick summary of how you can use the program if you would like to. First is an ask on our side. If you like what we're doing, as you can see, we're kind of no bullshit. We candidly tell you what we think, what we see in your business and so forth. If you like this approach, and it's more of a strategic thinking approach, please refer 1Mby1M to your fellow entrepreneurs, your friends, family who are looking for help. Everything resource-wise is at 1Mby1M.com. You will find a terrific blog that has been going on since 2005 and is rich with case studies. And just sitting there, if you have lots of time and you want to invest that time into learning about entrepreneurship, just go to the blog and read up on these entrepreneur journey series, case study after case study, stories of entrepreneurs, how they have succeeded. You will learn a tremendous amount and you don't have to spend a dime. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is actually a packaging of a subset of those case studies into books on specific topics. So we do emphasize bootstrapping quite a lot in all its glorious nuances. But also we have a book on billion-dollar unicorns and the nuances in that, how entrepreneurs have navigated, etc. So these are very reasonably priced books, all available on Amazon, all digitally available, so you can access those. These roundtables happen every week. Please come back as much as you want to, and also the recordings are all available. Over 150,000 people have come to these roundtables. Our full acceleration program is 1M by1M Premium. And there we offer you extensive methodology guidance. We have a digital curriculum. We help you with business development. We have a terrific network. And those in the premium program do get access to our network. And we have similar sessions as these that we call private roundtables, where we do the strategy consulting, coaching, mentoring, whatever you call it. We do help you with financing. We have a network of hundreds of investors who work with us and review deals and fund companies. So all of that is part of the premium program, just a $1,000 annual membership fee. Go to the self-assessment on our website. It's a tool. It's a set of questions that investors would ask you. We want you to ask yourself these questions and try to answer them credibly. Before you go out to talk to investors, you must be able to address these questions credibly. That's your prep. If you cannot, if you get stuck, if you find knowledge gaps that, oh, I don't know what this term means, I don't know what bottom-up TAM analysis means, go to the 1M1M Basic, which is the curriculum-only option, just $99 a month, and study the curriculum. So I think to somebody, I can't remember whom, was it Rajat or Vivek, I said, study the Sales 2.0 module in the curriculum. Under customer acquisition in 1M1M Basic, in the curriculum, you can access that and just learn it on your own and implement it. You don't need anybody in between you and your learning through the digital curriculum. And it's all case study based, and we have thousands of case studies that you basically get to stand on the shoulder of people who have done it before. So dig around on the website, look at what premium offers, what basic offers, look at the FAQs, video FAQs, and make your own decision. The curriculum is described in gory details, how it's organized, etc. The case studies are really important and central to how we teach. There are people who have done it before, so you most likely will find blueprints that you can evaluate as part of your strategic planning. And this includes 100+ unicorns, 400+ venture-funded companies, another 400+ bootstrap companies. So you see it from all different angles, and there are video lectures synthesizing strategies and pointing you to specific case studies to study. And when you're working with me in the premium program, I often point you to, oh, go look at that case study and this case study and that module and so on. So the philosophy is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups, and bootstrap first, raise money later is the mantra. Generally, it's very difficult to raise money without some amount of bootstrapping happening to get some, validation done first. So that's it. We have roundtables every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific. Come to any of them. I don't think we have any break this summer, really, because nobody's traveling. Normally, I travel quite a bit this summer, but nobody's traveling right now. We also have online rendezvous on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific, and there it's a live broadcast on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. You're welcome to join us on any of those as well. So that's it. If there's any question, I'll take a quick question, and you are welcome to dial in as well. Looks like there are quite a bit of questions. Okay, we will stay and take questions, and let's see. Shamini Dhana, your question about industry sectors being disrupted, we've already talked about. You have another question, is there any type of businesses you are looking for? So as far as 1Mby1M is concerned, anyone who's working on any digital business, B2B, B2C, any kind of technology-enabled services business is welcome to join. What we don't do are stuff like, really capital-intensive clean tech, water desalination, solar, this is not our area. Pharmaceutical drug discovery, that's not our area. But as long as you're working within the digital domain, IT-enabled services companies, we do all of that. Abhijit Sengupta, your question is, post-COVID-19 situation, what are your comments on retail in a contextual reference markets like India? Well, e-commerce is getting a big boost. In a country like India, retail is not going to go away because, there's a very large consumer base that is very used to retail. So I think the retail, the bazaars, the unorganized retail sector is not going away. But retail is going through a massive shift to electronic commerce right now. Your second question is, what are the strategies to exponentially monetize a business model and provide scalability? Just a few universal points. There are no universal points. This is very case specific, so I have no universal points to offer you on this. The third question you have is, who decides the timing in the market strategy, CEO, COO, CIO, or CTO? Market strategy comes from the marketing people. So if the CEO is the business mind, the marketing mind in the business, then it would come from that person. It could come from your head of marketing or business development, but it would come more from the market side than from the technology side. That's pretty much it, I think. I will introduce you to Irina Patterson. If you have questions about the program, you can contact Irina and she will answer your questions. And that's about it, I think. Is there anybody who has any other questions before we adjourn the session? All right. Thank you very much for coming. It was an excellent session. I really enjoyed talking to all of you and listening to your businesses, and I hope you found some value in discussing with me what your options are. And maybe you'll come back next time, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.